the school song. I request Deepthi to kindly chant the school prayer. Deepthi, are you there? Okay. Will someone else do it, Swati? Swati, will you chant the school prayer, please?
Yes.
Yes.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. And now I request everyone to keep their audios on mute. This is being recorded. So after the session, if you have any questions, kindly unmute yourself and ask the questions. All right. Now, is Deepthi there? Okay, I request Deepthi to kindly introduce our speaker of today. We can't hear you, Deepthi. Okay, Ramesh, will you kindly introduce our speaker?
Yes, Sajani. Good evening to everyone. On behalf of the School of Ancient Wisdom, we take great joy in introducing our speaker today, Shruthi S. Shruthi ji is on a quest to explore the profound realm of clinical hypnotherapy, guided by the renowned institution EKAA. This endeavor has allowed to delve into the infinite potential of the human mind and the art of healing through the power of the subconscious. Her healing toolbox includes sound healing, chakra healing, and aura healing. These practices have allowed her to tap into the energy within and around us, promoting balance, well-being, and a harmonious state of the mind and body. Her passion is the exploration of the divine feminine. This sacred and empowering aspect of existence has been a central focus of personal and professional journey. She firmly believes that understanding and honoring the divine feminine is a gateway to profound self-awareness and inner transformation. A most interesting write-up. So over to Shruthi ji.
Thank you, Ramesh. And now it's over to you, Shruthi, and we look forward to your talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Sajani, and thank you, Ramesh. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. So can we have the videos on, please, so that we can have the interactive session?
Okay, kindly switch on your videos, everyone, but switch off the audio. Right, we have a few videos on. We can begin.
All right. So let us understand first what is spirituality. Can anyone have a definition about the spirituality? What you are thinking about the spirituality in day-to-day life? Can anyone say or no?
Perhaps
give some time, no? 30 seconds, 1 minute for people to come out with thinking and then saying.
Okay. We are starting with the day-to-day life, the women and spirituality. Okay. So what is about spirituality? It is something like the action, everyday action, what we are doing, the action and the doing. So how it applies in the day-to-day life. When something happens in a day-to-day life, somebody said something to me. So there is two possibility of analysis about the situation, how I act and how I thought, how I think. So there is a two aspects why this person has said to me and or why this person has acted with me something like this. If it is positive, I am very happy. If it is negative, I'm little sad, or according to the situation, my action will be there. So in that, in that point of emotions, if it is negative, there is two analysis will come. What is the analysis? Analysis will be that person did to me, why? And one more thing is what I did to that person, which makes him or her to act like this with me, to treat me like this. So in the first point, why this person has acted with me like this, if it is negative. In that point of time, the perception is about the other person, why that person has acted this way. In that point of time, I'm not blaming about myself. Instead of that, I'm blaming the other person. So there, how can we get out of the situation, not acting negatively without affecting by the situation? I can take one thing, that is his perception or her perception, her thinking. And one more thing is that person's mood or situation is not so good, or according to the situation, that person's situation, he is acting or she is acting. So in both the situation, both the condition, if that is not affecting me, if it is okay to let go, then there is not affecting that point to react to the situation. If it is not happening with me to letting go easily, then what happens? We need to look deep into that, what is hurting me. So letting go is it easy? No. Some point of time, letting go is not easy because of the past experiences. So this is one point. When the perception clears, this point is cleared. And again, one more point comes, what it is. It is about myself, what I did to that person, which makes that person to act like this. So in that point of time, we are analyzing about ourselves. So what it is, what I did, what I have done to this person. So in that point of time, if it is happening in the different time with the different people, the same experience has come, then the wounded past is there within us, which is attracting the same. Now it is the pattern. In a different places, in a different people. The situation is different, but the experience is the same. So what is attracting for this situation? The wounded past of me, myself. Maybe in the past, maybe in the childhood, or whatever the timeline is. So again and again, the experiences are same. If the emotions and the experiences are same, then the subconscious mind thinks that if the situation comes like this, or the experience is like this, so I need to act in that way. So the ready-made action will be there from that point of experience. So in our hypnotherapy, we call it as inner child. So in that point of time, we need to get therapy to get healed. Why we need to get the therapy? Because we need to heal that past to deal with the present with the appropriate manner or with the ease. What if we are not healing that part of wounded past? If we are not healing that part, the situation comes, the experiences are the same, so the reaction will be the same. So the wounded part will take over the time and situation and reacts. So some point of time, we do think in normal days that if a person is little aware about that, or if he or she is not reacted for a minute, for a second, then the disaster wouldn't happen. What does it mean? The adult charge is not there. The wounded child has taken the taken the situation to handle. That's where we need to heal that part of our past, wounded past. So it is called the inner child. So this is all about how we can act. So in this point of time, in a general timeline or in the day-to-day life, how we can save ourselves not to act rudely or not to act in the negative way. We can say ourselves that the experience is maybe same, but the situation is different. This is the different timeline, and I'm adult. So I'm living here and now as an adult of today. So I know better to handle this. Even though the experience is same, the situation is different. The people are different in front of me. So I know better how to handle. If we can able to say this to us, so the things will be different for us. So it will be peaceful, and there will not be any harm in situations, and things will be better in us. This is called inner child. So we need to heal that part to not to affect by the situation and to take over by the inner child. Moving next to the inner being. What does it mean, inner being? There is an inner being, the life force within us, which is regardless of male or female, which is always peaceful, joyful, happy, and the high vibration is only there. The body is only having, body and the mind only have the experience of the wound of the past. According to that, it acts, but the soul, the inner being is always vibrating the same higher frequency of the vibration, that is peace, joy, and love. So how do we know that? When we are calm, when we are within ourselves, when we know the body consciousness is there, or when we connect with the body, we truly enjoy and recognize our true self. In the meditation, we feel peace, joy, calm, and happiness, all these things, because our inner being is always in the same manner. And coming to the women and spirituality, how it is connected, and how we can excel our spiritual path. As we know that in our day-to-day life, it is not possible for us to entangle with or apply the spirituality as if, or we think that after certain age or in the leisure time, we can do the practices of spirituality. It is not something like that. For women, it is not naturally comes for her path by default. Her body is designed something like that. Her mind and her energy is designed something like that. So she can excel herself in the spiritual path easily. How? Are we aware about our body nature? If we aware about our body nature, the role of the different timeline, different stages of being women, starting with the girl, what we are thinking, or when we looking at the girl, we get the love and compassion and charmness. And after that, after childhood, it comes the adolescence, is the transition time for her from childhood. The charmness is there, little added up, upgraded with the transition period to the women, with the understanding about the body, how it acts and what is the nature of the body. So after adolescence, she meets the stage of womanhood, or we can call lady. So what we can see in the lady? A grace, a life, understanding about herself. If she is good enough to think and connect herself, what her body says, and how the prakriti of the body is, it is easy for her to excel in each month of the menstruation, leading with the spiritual path. how we can say this? Menstruation is a natural process of spirituality. In our Indian Indian Shastras or Indian sciences says, in our cycle, our menstruation cycle is a common calendar. We have a common calendar in our body, whereas it is directly synced with the moon, the nature. So the moon cycle calendar is 27 days, whereas the body cycle of the menstruation of a woman is 27 plus or minus 2 days. From the 21 days to 45, 21 days to 35, it is fine. Everybody's cycle is different from person to person. So as we see the moon cycle, when is waning and waxing, same as in the women's cycle also, it is there. The waning, the first 15 days, it is something like waning, and second 15 days, according to her cycle, if it is 27 days, it is divided by 2. So the second half will be the waxing of the moon cycle. So when the menstruation happens, she is in the true self. She is in the sync with her true self. How do we know that? The body itself says, how do we act? So as we all know that when menstruation happens, most of us, we feel that women are behaving something very rude, or they get angry very easily, or they are emotionally heightened, ups and downs are there. So we think that emotions are the weakness of a woman. No, it is not. Emotions are not at all weakness of a woman if we understand it better. So how do we understand it? Emotions are heightened in the space of women. This is the body of a woman is a tool. So in this body, when women comes, means women's body, a soul perceives, then her emotions are heightened. So in that time, if the heart is sowed with the seed of bhakti, it also excels. So for example, we can see the Mirabai and Akka Devi, where they have simply excelled with the bhakti, with the heightened emotions. That's where they were excelled with the spiritual path. So coming to the nature of the body and the science of the moon cycle, so there is a two-part in the in a sun exposure to the earth. No, the celestial transition will be there in the time to time. In the yearly twice it happened, the Uttarayana and the Dakshinayana. According to that, our cycle will be, if Uttarayana has the new moon cycle, the period is getting just before or before the new moon, then the transition of the after the Uttarayana, when Dakshinayana comes, the period will becomes towards the full moon. So how it manages her spiritual path. When the Amavasya comes, that means new moon comes, our in our body there is 3 nadis, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna nadi. Sushumna nadi is said to have that excelled with the spiritual path. It is easy for us to excel the spiritual path when the Sushumna nadi is active. What happens in the Amavasya? It is a natural process of the body to be aligned with the Sushumna nadi. When this happens, without any extra effort, we are easily get aligned with our true self, and if we are little bit aware about that, we can excel the spiritual path. So if she is getting period on the before the full moon, so she is free in the Amavasya or the off moon. So in that time, she is getting for the 6-month period of aligning her with the spiritual path or spiritual sadhana, or getting the awareness of spirituality within her body, excelling with the emotions and the bhakti, so that she can align with the spiritual path and excel her evolution. When it comes to the Amavasya, when she is getting the period before the Amavasya, she will be free in the Paurnami. That means the full moon. So when full moon is free for her, she can be herself. She can understand her body and what is her energy. So we are saying that women are very emotional. It is not something like it is very emotional. She has the easy access to her subconscious mind. So that's where she's getting the intuition fast. So in the menstruation time, period time, what happens? This alignment with the body is more, the body consciousness is more. So if she is aware about the body, so she can get into the touch with the subconscious mind easily. So the intuition is naturally flows through her. So in many community and tribes also, they believe that menstruation women gives the predictions very accurately. Why? Because the intuition is stronger in that point of time. She is into completely present in her body in that point of time, because of the hormonal ups and downs or whatever it may be. The whole lot of science is there, why she is completely aligned with her body in that point of time. So this is how she can excel her spiritual path in a year completely. 6 months is free for her to excel in the spiritual path, and 6 months is free her to know about herself and be grounded and be intuitive more. So the body itself is designed like that. So what about the after menopause? The menopause is the point where she can reach the easily access to the subtler realm. So from there, the experience about the spirituality will heighten for her. So the process and the stage of the life of women itself is designed as she can be spiritual, or she can be aligned with herself, so that she can feel the inner being as a divine feminine. So this is where we call women in spirituality, women in the menstruation is spiritual, or it is more aligned with the spirituality. So after menopause, what happens? After menopause, she is free from the reproductive system, reproduction. That's where actually she's free from all the influences from the reproduction, so that she can already she has completed her cycle of birth and rebirth. Menstruation means the cycle of birth and rebirth. What is spiritual evolution? As we know that the birth and rebirth itself excels our spiritual path easier. So for women, by menstruating, what happens? Every month she's going to the birth side, means she can create something. She can create a new life. But if she is not conceived, then the creation is not happening. So the birth and the rebirth cycle is happening every month by month. So this is where her sin or her karma is becoming lesser and lesser in her space. So when she meets in the menopause, she is almost free from all the sins and karmas according to her actions. If she is aware about her menstruation, her cycle, her body, how it acts according to the nature and according to the timeline. So if this awareness is not there, then by the time of menopause, the natural access to the higher realm or natural access to the spiritual subtler realm is naturally there, but the karma which we have created, the sin which we have created, is maybe pulling us back from the spiritual access. So in a birth of a women body, I mean in a feminine body, it is opportunity for her to excel in spiritual path. It is not a curse for her to say that I'm a woman, because of that I may not have the opportunity to excel the spiritual path as men can do the sadhana. For women, menstruation itself is a sadhana for lifetime to excel the spiritual path. So this is how it is. When it comes to the men, what happens to men? Men can follow the syllabus of brahmacharya, and they can do the sadhanas and yogas. All these things are there for the men. Why are we not able to do the exercise or sadhanas or kriyas in our life to excel the spiritual path? It is not something like that. Yogas can be done by women, but most of the kriya sadhanas are done by the men sadhakas only. In the ancient India, kriya, the process of the procedures of the kriya sadhana has done by the men rishis only. Why? Because those time, very rarely women are going to the spiritual sadhanas. So the most of the people were going into the spiritual sadhana is men only. Where the men only. That's how the design of the kriya sadhanas are for the men only. What happens if we do the kriya sadhanas in the day-to-day life? In our body, 5 elements are running. According to that, in Ayurveda says 3 doshas are there, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. The body is designed for each individual. It is different. Somebody is Vata Prakriti, somebody is Pitta Prakriti, somebody is Kapha Prakriti. So in the menstruation, what happens? The Pitta Prakriti is the reason behind the menstruation, and the Vata Prakriti is the flow, which is reason behind the flow. So these two are the major elements or the doshas which is acting in the menstruation. So in that, under this, we can understand about the Vayus, Pancha Pranas in our body. What is about Pancha Prana? There is a Vayu, the circular motions are there, like Agni, the fire element is there in the body, and the air element is there, the space element is there, the earth element is there, and the water element is there. So how it is named in the body, how the circular motion is there in the body. Apana Vayu, which is located in our body, which is easily, which is located in the lower part of the body, that means in the abdominal area. This Vayu is influencing our excretory organs to excrete the wastage of the body. For women, it is the menstruation. Bleeding happens because of the Apana Vayu's regulation. And then comes the Samana Vayu, which is in the navel area. So the circular motion of the this Vayu is the circular motion. So it is governed by the digestive system is governed by Samana Vayu. And next comes the Vyana Vayu. Vyana Vayu is the motion of the motion of this Vayu is circulating the prana which we have inhaled throughout the body. So which is related to the intellect also. And then comes to the Udana. Udana's circular motion is upward direction. It is majorly governed the swaras, or the how we speak, the communication skill or how we speak is governed by the Udana Vayu, acts in the Udana Vayu. So the prana is in the inward direction from the head or from the ear, nose, and the eyes. So what happens when we go to the temple or the Kriya Sadhana is for the men, which is the to activate the Ajna Chakra. We know that our chakras. So when we go to the temple, what happens? When we go to the temple, most of the temples are, if the Shiva temple is there, it is called as a, it is in our Indian Samskruti, what happens? The temple is built in a such a way to affect our Sukshma Sharira. So when it affects the Sukshma Sharira, that means these pranas are the Vayu, the Pancha Prana is affecting by the temple energy, or the chakras are affecting by the temple deity, or the deity in the Garbhagriha. So if we go to the Shiva temple, what happens? It activates our Ajna Chakra. So when it activates the Ajna Chakra, the prana goes to the Ajna Chakra. And for women, what happens? We need much more prana to the lower chakras. For reproductive system, we need the Swadhisthana Chakra highly energized. So in a day-to-day life, we are giving the less exercise to the lower chakras. So in that point of time, what happens? When we go to the Shiva temple most frequently, our Ajna Chakra is active, or the prana goes to the Ajna Chakra very frequently. It disturbs the prana of the Samana Vayu and the Apana Vayu. So the Apana Vayu is disturbed, the Muladhara and the Swadhisthana is disturbed, then the reproductive system also disturbs. So this is how women are getting cramps, or it is applicable to the men also. How it applicable to the men? When the in our culture, we are said to go to the temple with the bowel clean and not to have food, fasting and having a bath. We have to go. Why? Because when food is in the stomach, or the wastage is in the excretory organs, the prana is there. The Apana Vayu is active when we are releasing the races, passing the races, then Apana Vayu is in active. So if we are keeping food in our stomach and going to the Shiva temple or above heart chakra temple, what happens? That chakras are get activated, and the prana is going more to that chakras. So similarly, simultaneously, what happens? The lower chakra is getting lesser prana to the lower chakra. So here comes the problem in our body. So that's where men also need to go with an empty stomach to the temple. This is not a myth, actually. This is the science behind it, why we are said to go with the clear bowel and with an empty stomach to the temple. So the prana goes to the upper direction where our system gets disturbed. So for women, what happens? For women, reproductive system has, as I said, there is two phases in the reproductive system. One is waning and waxing. So when we are going frequently to the Shiva temple or above heart temple, what happens? The prana goes to the higher chakras, and lower chakras are getting the less prana. That's where our reproductive system get disturbed, and that's where we are facing something like PCOD or the cramps. If we are good enough to aware about or get to know what the body is feeling or what the body is saying, if we have the awareness, then we may get the cramps in the body, or before why we are getting the cramps? Because the Apana Vayu is forcefully redirected to the upward direction according to the prana circulation in the temple. And because of that, our system is get affected. So going to the our Kula Devatas or Grama Devatas or the feminine deities, these are all destined, or these are all made for the lower chakras, to activate the lower chakras. When we visit those temples, those chakras are getting activated and the prana is going more to that. So when we are getting the period and we go to the temple, what happens? So when we go to even we are going to the female deity temple, in that time, the prana is going more to the apana vayu and the reproductive system and the swadhisthana chakra. So which leads the more bleeding in that women. So, and she has tendency to absorb the prana. Why? Because oxidative stress is happening in that point of time. So when the oxidative stress is happening, she has the tendency to absorb the prana from everything she touched, because the pitta is rising in her body. So when she touches the men or anybody or anything, she absorbs it. So when she goes to the Devi temple, she absorbs the prana from the temple. So we have a system in the temple that to sustain the prana pratishtha, prana of the deity in the temple. So when the menstruating women going to in the period time, in the menstruating time, if she goes to the temple, she absorbs the prana of the deity and she becomes as if the deity. If she knows how to handle it, then it is fine. Otherwise, it is disturbing her lifestyle. This is what happens. This is what we are said to, we are said that don't go to the temple during menstruation, and because they don't have the clear knowledge and science behind it. That's why we are saying, no, it is sin, and we are creating karmas and this and that. But it is not something like that. It is disturbing the system of the female only. So this is how the science behind it. Anybody has any question?
Anyone has questions, kindly unmute yourself and ask your questions.
I have a question, Sajani.
Yes, go ahead, Ramesh.
Yeah, it might seem odd that a man's asking a question when the topic is about, but I'm actually not laughing because I believe it is actually a very mature topic. And I believe this is a paradigm shift where education in India will, if it's spread appropriately, if it is proved correctly, if it's spread to the other parts of the world, this can be a very powerful access. So access to self-growth and awareness. Now, why is it that many times I've heard this from many of our relatives that some of them treat their women like they're dirty when they're going through a menstruation cycle, which is a completely natural part of, it's a part of nature. So why do they even interpret it in that manner?
We don't have the clear science behind it, what is happening in the reproductive system and in that point of time for the women. Yes, the bleeding is happening. What happens to the body in that point of time? If the ama or the toxins are there much more in the body before the period, in the period time, what happens? The menstruation time, what happens? That ama is clearing. That means the toxins are releasing from the body in that point of time. So we have less knowledge about that, why we should not touch the women in the menstruation time, in the period time, because the science behind it is she's absorbing the prana from you. What happens if we absorb the prana? For example, if we are, for example, I can give you the fresh fruit, the apple. When we are plucking from the tree, it is very fresh, right? But when it is frozen in the fridge for a week or 10 days, the taste is different between two. right? Why?
Yeah, prana
Because
comes
the
down.
prana is
Hmm.
not there in the frozen food. So that's where when the menstruation woman is absorbing the prana from everything, not even, there is no discrimination between this and that, the things or the human, no. Everything, she absorbs from the everything. So that point of time, what happens if she touches men or the fruits or the food, she absorbs the prana also. So when she serves the food to the others, what happens? The others are eating the prana-less food.
Okay.
That's where.
Can
think,
I?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
Can I?
Yes,
When
yes, sure.
when we were young, my name is Padmavati. Okay. When we were young, we were made to sit in a separate room. We were not allowed to go outside. We were not allowed to talk to anybody. And nobody were allowed to see us. So that's how we were treated when we were young. In fact, we used to feel so frustrated for not being allowed to go outside and play. And my
What I meant, my
grandmother
wife
would
was,
never allow us to touch the trees, especially. She would say, no, you're not supposed to touch anything. And especially the plants and trees.
Yeah. For
Now,
plants and trees.
now I'm able to connect after you telling us what exactly is behind it. And I also read somewhere, especially in Germany, because most of our Vedas are being taught, or Sanskrit is taught in Germany. I read somewhere in a factory somewhere they produce this films, thin sheet of poly, something like that. It is called film. Ladies in menstruation do not touch. That's how the boards are kept there, it seems. If a lady in her cycle touches it, that particular paper or film, whatever it is, I believe it crumples or it comes near. I don't know how far it is true. I just read it. But when you're talking about all these things, I'm able to relate why we were being stopped to touch the plants, or why we were not allowed to go out or talk to anybody or touch anybody. This makes a lot of sense. Thank you for giving us this knowledge.
Yeah.
God bless
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plants, I
Any
can
other?
say-
Any other
For-
questions?
Can I answer your question regarding the plants?
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So why we are said that we should not touch the plants. So what happens when the menstruation happens, the bleeding happens, the flow of the bleeding starts. The pitta is the dominant tridosha in the body, which governs which produce the bleeding, which is the reason behind the menstruation. And the flow is governed by the vata or the vayu. So what happens when the pitta rises? That oxidative stress is also high. The heat of the body is high. So we are said that we should not touch the plant. So in some part of our Karnataka, there is a practice that in first bleeding, they are given one plant to keep with them. If it is live and if it is not dead, that means they are okay to touch the plants in her lifetime. If it is dead, that means she is in heightened state of pitta prakriti, so that the oxidative stress or she is absorbing the prana more from the plants also, whereas tulsi is a very sensitive plant. So when she absorbs the prana from the tulsi plant, it dies.
Oh, okay.
So
throughout her life, she's not supposed to touch, or only during the cycle?
No, if her body is tend to the dosha of pitta prakriti only, then the plant will die. The heat of the body is heightened in that point of time, then plant will die. Then only she is restricted to not to touch the plant. Otherwise, if the kapha prakriti is there, that will be balanced and the heat of the body will not heighten, then she is okay to touch the plants.
Yes,
so
the food also was very particularly given. Not any spicy food or
Yes.
No, nothing is being given. Yes. Of course, nowadays, nobody follows it. None of the children know anything about it because no proper no proper guidance. I don't know. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
But yes, the children these days do not know anything about all these things. In fact, as Ramesh sir said, this should be properly taken and this should be propagated for everybody to know about this.
Yeah, we designed a workshop related to this, and I'm working on that, how to apply this to the younger generation, because these days girls are getting period for the once in a 2 months or 3 months, and they are fine with that, absolutely fine with that, because they don't want to get into the stress of the ups and downs, emotional ups and downs of the period, the menstruation time, because the life is so fast and we have to run and move around here and there, and it is so fast and we don't want to settle down and slow down. That's where they tend to say that it's absolutely fine, but it is not. Their reproductive system is not so healthy. That's why they are getting periods once into 2 months or 3 months. They need to understand and regularize it as possible as earlier. Between the 21 days to 45 days is fine. Otherwise, our grandmother, our mother and grandmother were practiced this kind of whatever said by the grandmother and mother. Because of that, only we are healthy here. If they have not practiced properly and honor their body, admire their body, then we may have not this kind of healthy body today. So we need to understand that and pass this knowledge to the younger generation. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Ramesh, you were asking something?
Yeah, I was, but I think Adarsh ji has
Can
a
I just
question.
put in one word, Ramesh, before?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, go
is it
ahead,
okay?
Malti.
Yes, yes, I'm Malti here. I just wanted to say that, I never had the stay away from people or sit separately or anything. But when I got married, my mother-in-law's house, they followed all this. And I mean, it was okay. We just conformed with it. It wasn't that. In fact, it was nice in a way, these 3 days hanging out by ourselves. But what I felt is, I was wondering why they are going through this. Today's talk, you have elaborated in a more, what shall I say, in a more extensive manner. Because they were only saying, "Mutkudu, you have to stay separate, stay." So that's way. But the thing is, for what reason or anything was not explained to us. And then now that you have given us such a nice explicit talk on this, we are learning so many things, and it was very kind of you to do that. And now I understand quite a lot more. So thank you so much, Shruti. It was very nice. And it was a pleasure to be educated on this, even though we are past those days now and I'm a grandmother. I'm just telling you this. So thank you. Tumba upkarayatma nimminta. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, when I got my first period, I also asked to sit separately and not to take bath in between the periods. First, when I get my first period, that time itself, I need to take the bath, and after the third day, head bath is only after third day. Why? Because the pitta will get down. So the period will get disturbed. That's where they were telling that you should not take bath in between the first and the fourth day. So we have a practice that first day we have to take a bath, head bath, and after that we can take the physical, means the body bath we can take. But after third day, fourth day morning only, we have to take complete bath, and then we have to get into the home, means the main strain of the home. But still the 7
especially
days
the
we
kitchen, I think, especially the kitchen, you're not allowed to enter without having your head bath.
Yes. The knowledge behind the science was forbidden or not known. it is not transferred clearly. That's where actually practices are still there, but there is no science behind that. But in these days, science behind the practices are more important, because people are more logical. So that's where we are asking for the science behind that, whatever we are saying. So if we know the science behind it, that is this is easy for everybody to follow.
Right.
Adarshi, I think you had a question.
Yeah, this is more of a question that came in the previous session. Somebody has asked me about the Pitrakaryas being involved by the women and why they are not allowed. And I think I had mentioned that Shruthi is the right person to answer for that. So maybe she can put some light on that aspect as well. It was a wonderful session, Shruthi. Thank you very much. Even I get to know new things. Every time you speak, I get to know new things.
Thank you. We have been asked not to do the Pitrakaryas, only son can do, because we are emotionally we are heightened with all the time. So when it is happening, we are not able to manage ourselves to do all the karmas, because the process of the Pitra karmas are such thing like the detachment. We have to detach. Who has passed, we have to detach from the emotions and the whatever the attachment is there with that person. So we have to agree and accept of their departure. But women are more emotional. That's where they are not ready to, or the body or the system of the psychology, the mentality is not ready to accept the detachment. We are not tend to detach easily. So that's where one thing, emotionally or mentally and energetically, we are in subtle body, we can say the sukshma sharira, we can say our the aura or the sukshma sharira is vulnerable in that point of time, in the menstruation time. That's where actually if we are heightened with the emotions, the wrong emotions or the negative emotions, it adversely affect her. And the negative emotions or the negative energies are there. If the soul is not ready to go, or the fragment is not ready to go, the attachment is more, then she is crying and crying and crying. She is feeling and not ready to let go and detach from the person. So that is difficult for the past person also not to go. So the fragment will stay in our system or the aura. So over a period of time, it gives the adverse effect of that attachment. That's where actually.
Is it only during the you mentioned it only in the menstrual cycle time, or as such women not doing Pitra karma?
Yeah, as such we are emotionally it is not so easy for us to detach. We are designed like that. So that's where, when we are not ready to get detached with a person, so the soul fragment stays in our space, anywhere in the body or in the energetic space. Over a period of time, it acts as a negative to us, or it gives the adverse effect to us.
It makes a lot of sense, because from the therapy angle, if I look into it, most of the time the external energy is found there because they are coming because of the heightened emotion levels. Whenever we are getting more and more emotional, our aura is opening. The cracks in the aura will invite the resonating energies that are surrounding with us. So if the person is not ready to leave, or we all carry each other's energies, so naturally this entire process of Pitrakarya is only getting hindered because of the openings in the aura or the emotional things that are happening. So yeah,
now Pitru Paksha is going on. That's a good information what we are getting.
Yeah, this was the question from the previous session actually. So I thought I will answer it. So one more question I have after Shruti is this we have discussed internally. in our previous interactions, but I want this audience to also know that menstruation is for women. What men can do other than bringing pets?
Basically, we need to know what is happening with her. If the man is closer to her, means the partner, he can understand about the prakriti of the body. First of all, she needs to know what is her prakriti. If she doesn't know, then she can't convey what is happening within her. So she needs to know and aware about her body and what is prakriti of her body. And if she is discussed with her partner, so according to the situation, in the ovulation period and the menstruation period are the same for many of the women, that they are going ups and downs, they are getting irritated or they are getting angry. So many times men or the boyfriends used to say that I'm very irritated by this girl because I don't know why. There is no reason behind why. Still, I'm just don't want to hang around her in the certain point of time because she is in the oxidative stress. So she is absorbing the prana from you as a man. So what happens when the prana is absorbed from you? You are also facing the oxidative stress. So that's where your energy also gets the imbalance. So that's where you are also getting something like irritated and angry about and carried away with the emotion of the women. So in that point of time, little bit the men also have the awareness that what to do and what not to do. Emotional support is, yes, emotional support is needed as women is tend to heightened with the emotions. And apart from that, what regularize the emotions, we need to know. So the Deha Prakriti itself says, if she is calm, or she is okay to manage, or she is agitated or angry. So if we know what is your partner is in the Prakriti, so it is easy for you to handle, I guess.
Just a logical question. Since you mentioned that during this time, the woman would absorb a lot of prana from men, and also if they go to the temple,
Everything.
From Prakriti. So that means they also absorb prana from other women, is it?
Yes, everybody, everything what she is touching. For she, it is not a problem because she needs a lot of prana in that point of time. But what she is touching, whom she is touching, they are facing the oxidative stress. Yeah, prana is less in that what she is touching or whom she is touching. So they are getting affected because of the oxidative stress.
So this is I have a scientific question now. See, I can, being a person who's sensitive, who's a meditator, I can understand this because I actually sometimes, many times when I'm talking to people, I experience their emotions. So I know at this time, if a person is less equipoised, I've seen women who meditate, who are more equipoised, who are stronger within, to remain in stiram, regardless of the highs and lows. They are able to handle the situation much more powerfully. The ones who are not, they fluctuate a lot, and that can affect you. And if I stay more equipoised at that time myself, and kind of surrender to the higher consciousness, the entire situation, even for the people around me, is handled better. Now, going by that thing, how do you see? You have said all these things. Now, till we have a device to measure that prana is being taken, how do we find out? Like, if a person like that goes to the temple, and for example, I had a friend, for example, who was my yoga classmate. He was doing some kundalini practice without any guidance, and it misfired very badly, and he lost his mind. He was an orphan. I didn't know this, that he was practicing this, but he lost his mind completely. He just left the office and came back 3 months later in a very different state of mind. Now, I've heard that when excessive prana is pumped into the system, this can happen. So, when a woman goes to a very powerful Devi temple, for example, in that period of time, will such a thing happen? How can you measure it?
You're asking about women, how it can be measured.
Yeah, not just women, anybody. How do you know that they are absorbed prana? What are the symptoms? How do you know, like, if I have, for example, been accidentally touched? If suppose I'm going to do puja, I was doing pujari seva and they would talk about muddy and all that. So now I'm beginning to understand this. And I also know the benefits of being in equipoise and meditation to not be affected or pulled down by this depletion of prana. But how do you measure and what are the symptoms? How do we know what are the symptoms that your prana is being depleted, or how to protect yourselves?
It is according to the intensity of the pitta prakriti she has. And in that point of time, if the body is heightened with the heat, she tend to absorb more prana from you. So if the kapha prakriti women is there, she can absorb a little prana from you, because the prithvi and the jala prakriti is more in her body, and in that menstruation time only pitta prakriti is there, but still it is balanced because her original prakriti in the body is not pitta. So the pitta will not rise that intensity, but in the pitta prakriti women only, what happens, already her body is in the pitta prakriti, and in the menstruation time, in the bleeding time, what happens, the pitta rises, so the double effect will be there. So it is easy for her to absorb the prana. So what happens if you touch, we can't measure that somebody else is getting period, we don't know that she got the period or not. So what happens to you in that point of time? In that point of time, you can get something very frequently, you can get the emotional imbalance, or you can freak out, or the balance of the mind may be ups and downs. This can be measured. If you can understand your body better, or you are connected with the body and you can have the awareness about what is happening to my body, then it is easy for you to understand what is happening.
Now, if you go to a temple and the temple's deity's energy is depleted, what happens to the temple? Will the prana shakti of the murti come down? How do we replenish it? How?
There is in Agama Shastra, in our Indian culture, in every temple, they has the routine work to re-energize the temple or the deity, the prana of the deity, the temple. So some temple has the 12-year cycle, some temple has the 3-year cycle, some temple has the 1-year cycle. According to the tantras, or according to the procedure which they have followed, according to that they re-energize, energize, and the prana pratishtha they do again. This is how they balance the energy of the prana of the deity.
And also,
so every temple, yeah, sorry.
Please go on.
Every temple is designed for something. Some temple is regulating the Mooladhara chakra, whereas the Ganapati is the owner of the, or the governing the Mooladhara chakra, and the Swadhisthana and the Anahata, the Manipura Anahata and the Vishuddhi and Ajna chakra and Sahasrara. Different deities are designed to absorb and energize the energy center of the body, that is the chakras. So we need to know which temple we are going, and I think we don't have such knowledge that for what we are going to the temple. So these energy centers are there, and we are getting prana from getting affected from the prana of the temple to our energy system. We are not having that knowledge. That's because we are not tend to go to the temple, or many few people only go visit the temple and they feel good, and sometimes we don't feel good and we just go to the temple and we get normal and completely back into the normal and peaceful and happy.
Interesting.
Right.
In fact, I've done this chakra healing program recently, and what they said was, with awareness, when you go in, a temple also has the 7 main chakras that we have in our body. And if we approach it and we chant the bija mantras like Om Nam, Om Vam, Om Ram, Om Yam, and so on, Om Hum. So you have to go to certain parts of the temple, like, you start off with the Dvajastambam, and so on. And for example, the deity would be Om, the Agni Chakra, and the on top of the temple, whatever on the Gopuram, you have that what is that Kalash, that would be maybe the Sahasrara Chakra. So if we go with the right awareness, it is possible for us to connect, but we have to be at that vibration where we are now more aware of what's happening. So whatever topic you discussed today actually opens doors to a deep understanding, because I feel when women are understood in this way, not only men but women, everybody becomes more sensitive to the subtle aspects of the human system, the human bodily system, and how we are connected to Prakriti. And also, I think maybe that's how many of these fine arts in Bharat have come up, because there's a very highly evolved level of fine arts in Bharat, which is also connected to esoteric sciences. So thank you so much for whatever you've shared today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Someone has asked for your telephone number. I think he's left, Prakash.
Okay.
So if you can give your number or just put it on the chat.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So please share your number with those who have asked for it in the chat. Okay. Anyone else has any other questions? No? Okay, if that's the case, thank you so much for a very interesting and informative session.
I remember one more question, Sajani.
Okay.
This is about the current situation where many youngsters, again, this is a question related to my exposure to Waldorf.
He has left already. Prakash has left, if you read below that.
I see.
He's written that over there and he's left.
He's left.
Yeah,
okay,
that's why I didn't read. So we just want the telephone number and we can pass it on to him.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So this question is about what I remember reading from, whatever my exposure to Waldorf education is, that every kosha, when human beings are born, not the our whole system is not born. It's initially the Annamaya kosha, that's the physical body, then the Pranamaya kosha, which is what you call about the aura, and then the Manomaya kosha, and then Vijnanamaya kosha. And Anandamaya kosha, only in highly evolved beings it's born. But these 4 koshas, they have a very clear trigger points which can be seen in the body. The Annamaya kosha, obviously, when the child is born. Then the Pranamaya kosha, when the tooth falls, traditionally, first tooth falls and the child can reach the opposite earlobe, because till then the head is much bigger in proportion compared to the arm length. The child can't reach the opposite earlobe. So that is when they were sent to the Gurukuls. And then the next one is, of course, puberty. And in the olden days, normally it used to happen approximately in 7-year cycles. So puberty happened around 14 to 16. But nowadays, especially, of course, puberty is more visible in girls. It's not visible in so much in boys, because sex is a very taboo topic after the Victorian the colonization and all that. In Bharat, earlier Bharat was very advanced, and that's why even the Sun Temple in Konark had addressed all these questions. Now, if what I was told was, if children are exposed too much to unpleasant inputs in the 5 senses, like suppose they're exposed to too much of violence or excessive food, this non-sattvic food or music that is not sattvic, like maybe heavy metal or rock, or any of the 5 senses are exposed in this manner, where the body starts moving towards body consciousness. I understand that when the the girl has her first periods, nature basically prepares that particular body for procreation, for the continuation of the human species. so that the souls can come and occupy the body. Now, if they're overtly exposed to the environment, that is when this new term of precocious puberty is happening, where you find that girls are becoming mature at a much younger age, when they're emotionally not ready, actually. And it gives rise to a lot of problems in society also because of this, because the child's first guru is the mother. So if mother is not fully evolved in all dimensions, then that is passed on to the child, and as a population we have less developed population taking the world forward or not taking the world forward. So is this true that if they are adequately educated or adequately protected from excessive stimulation, from too much of media exposure and so on, that this cycle will start happening naturally? And what changes prana wise in the body when this puberty happens for both girls and boys?
For girls, what happens? We are said that you should not speak loudly, you should not laugh loudly, you should not sit straightly, or in the menstruation time they are restricted to cross-legged also, straight sitting and cross-legged also. Because the reason is in that menstruation time, what happens? The prana needs to be flown through the lower chakras, and the apana vayu is needed, much more needed. When we sit straight, what happens? The prana moves upward. So the prana moves upward direction. What happens? The less prana is going to the reproductive system, and her system is getting affected. And about the sound, why she need not to exposed with the more sound. The Vata Prakriti people, if they are exposed with the more sound, that excited their emotions. So that's where their Vata heightened in their body. So what happens? The Vata heightens in the body. If Vata heightens in the body, the bones get affected in the body. So there is a science behind it, why we should not listen to the loud noises. If a body is Prakriti of Vata, if they have listened or exposed with the loud noises, it is tend to heighten the Vata Prakriti in their body. The loud noises heightens the Vata Prakriti in the body. That's where they get agitated or they get irritated. So what happens if the Vata is heightened for the women or the menstruation girl? So the flow will be high. So she tend to fall into the anemic because the flow is more. And because of the flow is more, her the blood, when she loses so much of blood, she becomes the anemic. So in modern science we can say anemic. So she loses a lot of her prana in that point of time. So it is difficult for her to come back in that point of time. So that's where we are said to not to laugh loudly or speak loudly, or not to expose with the loud sounds, the loud sounds. And for the men, what happens? For men, actually, I will come to the visuals, the exposure with the visuals. What happens? We are directly seeing the visuals from the eyes. So the Ajna chakra is getting affected, continuous rays of the light. So the exposure to the light is more to that person. So it depleted the prana of that Ajna chakra. And for girls, how it affects? When the Ajna chakra is activated or getting more prana, in that point of time, the testosterone releases. When the Ajna chakra is activated, the male hormone testosterone is get released in the body. For men, it is fine. For women, it is not so good. Why? Because when the menstruation happens, or the in the normal days also, when the testosterone excretion is more in the hormone excretion is more in the body. Ovary is have a tendency that digesting the testosterone in a very less point, in a very little quantity that can absorb and transmute into female hormone, that is estrogen. So when the excess of testosterone secretion happens in the body, what happens? The male features will come to the body. The ovary is not ready to digest that and convert it into the female hormone, that is estrogen. That's where the testosterone is harmful for her, and it leads to the PCOD.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think with this we have come to the
No,
end
I
of our
have
session.
Sajani, I have a question.
Oh, you too. And go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to ask you, I mean, when the post-menopausal women go to the temple, what happens to their pranas? What about, do they also absorb pranas from all these sides? How does that happen?
In that point of time, she is not in the state of reproduction. So the reproduction system is not active in her. So that point of time, it is not that much affecting her. That's where we are said in our shastras that we need to go to the mukti dhamas after the menopause. So there are some temples are there which are which open to women after menopause only because of this only. So after menopause, the tendency to get oxidized is less because the reproductive system is not active and she's out of that. So she can easily access the cellular realm of the spiritual path.
But how do you know those temples still have that prana shakti if they're not looked after properly? How can we tell?
For that, we can experience if we have enough knowledge about our awareness, the body awareness. So, for example, if a woman is sensitive enough to know about her body, what happens if I go to the temple? If she knows to read her body, what happens? If she goes to the near, if the prana pratishtha is there at the home also, home temple also, then if she passes through the temple room also, she gets cramp in her body. If prana pratisthapana is done properly and all the rituals is doing properly in the home, then it is possible, more likely, that she may get the cramp in her stomach. So this is how we can feel, and we get our chakras are activated. Chakras in the sense when we go to that temple and after we effect related to the thoughts we are getting. So our thoughts will also get aligned with the chakras related to the thoughts related to the chakras will get purified and activated. So we become more calm and peaceful, and we get aligned with our system. So the area of that chakras, all the chakras has their own areas in our life. So those areas get settling in that point of time when we are going to the temple related to the chakras.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Okay. Thank you so much. It was really very informative, very educative. And now I request Ramesh to kindly propose a formal vote of thanks.
I think one last note was Adarshi had mentioned that aroma is one of the most common ways to identify a temple's energy. I see presence of low vibration, tamas, range of smells, feelings, and aromas. Presence of bees. Okay, interesting. Anyway, well, I think it's very apparent now, Shruthi. It's very apparent now, Shruti ji, that your topic today was really unexpectedly interesting. I think many of us didn't realize it'll be this informative. In fact, it has opened up a box of more questions of about life about people, about our bodies, and how to become a better person by evolving and growing every day if we have this kind of knowledge. What I see, especially in schools nowadays, in the days of gender empowerment, they say, many women are becoming less feminine. I know we all have the masculine and feminine in us. The only Purush is supposed to be Krishna, the source, the divine source, but all of us do have the masculine and feminine in balance, in various stages of balance or imbalance. And this kind of awareness, I think, will bring about a high degree of harmony in families if it is properly, this kind of knowledge is properly spread. It will also give us more maturity to handle the topic of puberty and beyond. The so-called troublesome teenage years can be handled much more effectively, is the potential I see, apart from many others, like how to support one to become emotionally and spiritually more mature. Now, so we would definitely want to get more of this knowledge, this ancient Indian knowledge that is now slowly being opened up to us, which was hidden to us all these years, all these centuries, I would say, when Bharat went through severe stages of poverty. So we are really grateful for people like yourself and exposing us to this ancient wisdom. And we'd love to have another session with you on more details about these esoteric sciences, if that is possible.
Sure.
So on that note,
Thank
I
you.
want to say that thank you very much and God bless you for opening our eyes.
One thing I would like to
Thank
say
you,
that,
Ramesh.
one thing I would like to say that we can go back to our mothers and grandmothers and ask them what are the practices they were practicing in their day-to-day life. So there has a science behind it, and we need not to tell that you don't know, it is a myth and taboo, this and that. No, there is a science behind it, but they might not know, but we have the access to know about that, but we can adopt it, and we can ask what it is, how to practice. Then we can explore it, what it is and what may be the science behind it. So this is where we can protect ourselves and enrich and empower ourselves. I think we can go back to the roots and empower ourselves.
Indeed.
So thank you so much, Shruthi ji. And everyone, thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again next Thursday, same time, 6:30.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.